All right, greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna Yisrael Soulonomics 101 Underground Review, Season 2, Episode 3. This narrative that is weaving in the history of this portion of still antebellum slavery coming up on, the time in which abolition in this country is huge. If you don't know about that time period, definitely take a look at it because it changed the landscape really, and this show is showing you how much was actually going on and how everyone was not complicit. There were actually those who felt it was their duty to fight against this level of brutal systematic oppression. So on the show, once again, we're back watching Ernestine and the struggle that she's having, now becoming addicted to, I still don't know what the smelling thing she's smelling, I have to figure that out, but addicted in that way. She's battling depression, she's battling guilt, she's seeing spirits. Her son came to visit her and he's questioning the choices that she made. And there was a time, I forgot what show, all the shows are coming together, but I remember having this discussion about there's no right way to be a slave. And so he is having this conversation with his mother that you told me that basically there was a right way to be a slave, and if you did everything that the master told you to do, and if you complied, and if you didn't buck the system, then you will be free. You will get your walking papers. And he's dead at this point, but he's like, okay, that didn't work. And so this is challenging all that she ever thought, you know what I'm saying? And she, the story went towards her choosing to use her body as a means and ways to control her reality, I guess, to soften the blow of oppression. So some would kind of classify her as the Jezebel, the one who is willingly going into these sexual encounters with men in order to, not have her slave experience be so bad. And so with this, she struggled, and she attempted to take her life. And again, once again, just like they did in the domestic violence situation with Ernestine, they came on afterwards, after the show, and spoke to the fact that this is real. People do trouble with depression, and if so, they need to definitely seek help. I think a whole lot of things are on her. It's interesting to see how when she goes to the master's house and she's tired of this game, she's tired of dressing up, she's tired of pretending, she's tired of stuffing her true self, down, and she spazzes out. You know what I mean? She starts spazzing out. Everybody's looking at her like, what in the world? That's that breaking point. That's when that's where people come to that breaking point. They go into corporate America, or you go into spaces where you're not allowed to be yourself. You're not allowed to wear your hair. You're not allowed to speak with your accent. You're not allowed to have any representation of your culture, because then now you stick out. You're not part of the corporate vibe or culture that they have. And so she was like, you know what? And this is funny because people in today's time, they call it going to the plantation. They call it going to the plantation or going on the plantation. This is the thought of going to work. I'm going to a place where it's not mine. I'm building up someone else's space, and they are telling me what I can and cannot do as it relates to who I am. Like, how do you tell someone that who combs their hair or who wears their head wrap that this is not acceptable? How do you tell the man if his face is not shaven clean as a child, then he's not acceptable? I've always thought that was strange, how something that naturally grows, as long as you're grooming it, why would you prefer a man to look like a boy? That's another story for another day. But anyway, let me see what else happened. Rosalie is going through it in this section. I think she was actually pregnant in real life. During this, as a mother, she's doing some stunts that I'm like, oh my goodness, did she hurt herself? You know what I'm saying? But to my understanding, the baby was born safe and sound. But the stunts was just too heart-wrenching for me, especially because as a mother, and the injury that can happen, but also the realness of how mothers during that time, pregnant, newborn, all levels of motherhood, sucklings, how if they decided to run, which statistically, the history shows that oftentimes these were the reasons why mothers didn't run, and that you had way more male runaways than you did females, is because of this very same reason of their children. And the fact that, the survival rate, and actually we saw that here. I forgot the name of the sister who tried to run with Boo, the little girl. I think the husband ended up dying, and she ended up dying, and I don't know what happened to Boo. I think Boo got to safety, but running with a child because of the noise that they would make, the crying that they would make, the hunger, the long journey, the arduous travels, a lot of women didn't run with children. So if you're watching this, definitely, hopefully, it will help you to begin to have a desire to say, I wonder why they said that, or I wonder why they put this here. It's not, I don't think they're pulling it out of the air, and this is not Empire or Scandal or any of these things. This is your history. And I'll say one more thing, I'm not even going to keep this long. We have, although it's very sexually explicit in some sections that, children, definitely this is not for children. I've noticed a growing number of news stories and Facebook, social media breaking stories of people becoming outraged because of slavery and slave assignments in school, and drawing wanted posters or simulating auctions and things of this nature. That may be taking it to another level, but at the same time, I would ask those who may be offended by what's going on, what do you suggest? And furthermore than that, what are you doing? I say that because this is a sore spot. It is an area that, unless we are being entertained or coddled or babied in this space, we sometimes refuse to go there accurately. We broad brush it, we dismiss it, and we do our history an injustice when we do that. I say that to say, let it burn. Take a moment, look at it, see it for what it was worth, what it is worth, so that we can understand today what are the things that we are up against, what are we facing epigenetically, how can we begin to reverse the effects of what has happened. So we can't do that realistically if we refuse to take a look at it for what it was worth. You know what I'm saying? For what it's worth. And so, you say slavery and people just wither up just wither up like, yeah. We have to really take a look at that and demystify the process. It hurt. Yes, it continues to hurt. Yes, the memory of it hurts, but you can't continue to run away from it. And this is for both sides. This is for Europeans. I keep saying that there was a domestic abusive situation that entangled these two people groups in this instance. And to pretend that you will have an end, I think, what was I watching when someone said, better don't call it slavery. Actually, I think it was part of the scene. He said, don't call it slavery because it sounds very one-sided. He said, call it bondage. Because bondage, and I've read that as well, bondage reflects the true state because it changes it demonizes to a certain degree, it vilifies, it eats away at the European in this situation, in this space as well, because now he was, that's exactly what he was talking about, how his mother, she was, at the beginning, she was a little bit opposed, and as time went on, it was cancerous. It's cancerous to both parties. And so is domestic abuse. You know what I'm saying? So is domestic violence. So is emotional abuse. It robs both souls from a human experience. And so this is for not just melanated people who are saying, this was what happened to me. Those who participate, and this is why you had the rise in the abolitionists. George Fox was an abolitionist. I think it was I have to get the exact date. He was of the Friends Society or the Quakers. He said early on, look this up, George Fox, I think his name is. Early on, he told the Europeans, this thing that you're doing is going to be a problem. Stop it. So you had people, the Friends of Quakers, the European group, which became abolitionists. Early on, they was not down with it. they actually spoke out against it and said, yo, this is going to create an issue. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about George Fox so you could kind of understand, and others like him, so you could kind of understand that, clear up the lens a little bit. You couldn't have the underground series, what we're having now, if you did not have a network of people, of Europeans who were willing to rebel against the status quo. You couldn't have the underground because they were the ones who were the safe houses that were allowing people this pathway to freedom, so-called freedom, right? So I say all that to say, very, very good episode filled with a whole lot of research, a whole lot of information. I hope you're taking notes, and we'll go back and look over it. So I know I said I wasn't going to be long, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up at this point. Once again, thank you for tuning in. My name is Amuna Yisrael. This has been Soulonomics Lev Project Special Edition Underground. Talk soon. One.